Hello and welcome to Hot Indonesia, the only English talk show in this big country. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Here is this week's HI Hotlist. COVID cures. Russia announced a vaccine. Indonesia a wonder drug. Should we get excited? Pipe dream. Why can't the government deliver clean drinking water to everyone? And viral boredom. Were you among the 3 million people who watched this Indonesian do nothing for 2 hours? Here are my co-hosts each and every week. Sandrina Malakiano, Deputy CEO of Polmark Indonesia from her home in South Tangerang, and Sandiaga Uno, former Vice Governor of Jakarta from his home in South Jakarta. Here's hot topic number 1, COVID cures. The news on August 11th was startling. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that his country had developed the world's first vaccine for COVID-19 after 2 months of human testing. Business leaders there say mass rollout in Russia is expected in October, mass production for export by the end of the year. Then, just a few days later, a joint public-private team, including Indonesia's Food and Drug Agency, announced a cure for the coronavirus based on a combination of existing drugs. A spokesman said clinical trials were held with non-ventilator patients. First, guys, this announcement, which kind of unusual, came at military headquarters. Sandy, what have you heard about what would be an amazing breakthrough?
Well, I guess we have to be cautiously optimistic. These drugs that are or have been developed by the University of Erlangga, the military represented by the army, as well as the intelligence agencies, health department have confirmed that they are on the final stage of a COVID cure, not a vaccine, but a cure, like a medicines. And they said that it could reach up to 90% in some samples of curing the COVID, as it was tested earlier in the close to 2,000 of the cadet that was diagnosed with COVID through swab tests. So we have seen that researchers around the world are racing, developing more than 165 vaccines against the coronavirus, and 31 are in the final stage, which is in the human trials.
From your sources, I mean, are you 50-50 that it's actually going to happen, or how confident are you?
It is going to happen, but we have to see the final stage of the testing on the human trials, because if you're even on a 80 to 85% level, that's very high, and it's a concoction of several drugs. So we, I guess, now that we're in the midst of probably the peak of COVID-19, with a number of cases rising in several of the provinces, this is, I guess, quite a light at the end of the tunnel.
Now, Sandrina, explain to people outside of this country who are watching, it seemed like a strange kind of team. You got the Army, you got the National Intelligence, the Drug Agency, and you got an academic, Erlangga University, as Sandy said. Any insights, Sandrina, on that? Why this kind of makeup of the group?
Well, I'm assuming actually that, of course, all parties are conducting their own kind of research, Dalton, including in the universities, the government, the health ministry, even the intelligence, with all the information that they have gathered, maybe from Indonesia and as well as other countries. I don't know what kind of intel they have received. But it is said that it is a concoction of drugs that have been said gave positive results when given to those who got infected by the COVID disease from all parts of the world. But again, as Sandy said, we have to be cautiously optimistic. I do not want to be skeptical or pessimistic here, but it will take some time until it is clinically proven and approved, because it might give a good result in reducing the symptoms. Because when dealing with viruses, there are no medications that could really cure it. It could take care of, reduce the symptoms, but then again, you have to wait until your immune system kills the virus or overcomes the virus. So it is our immune system that plays a big role when dealing with viruses. Antibiotics does not work on viruses. And here we have to underline the fact that they have to ensure that there are no long-term side effects. So clinical trial will take years while we wait for the vaccine and a real cure, because claims have been popping up here and there in Indonesia and other countries. It will take really a long period of time.
Yeah, and in Indonesia, there have been a couple hoaxes already, so we have to be extra cautious. Sandy, now to Russia. Final trials there are still not done, and experts say only 10% of clinical trials ever are successful. So in this case, we must look at the news even more cautiously, in my opinion. But if it's true, let's salute them, politics aside, right, Sandy?
Yeah, this is a breakthrough. If this is greatly welcome, and at this juncture, when 22 million people around the world have been infected, and in Indonesia is actually nearing 150,000, we are in desperate need of good news, vaccine. Obviously, we need to see the end of the results, but this is also, from the economic standpoint, this is a $75 billion worth of vaccine market, and close to 3 billion vaccines will be produced in a short period of time. Of course, they will focus on their own country first, but I think this is good. And don't forget, Eric Thohir and his team announced last week at Biopharma that they are also in the last stage of the clinical trial in the so-called third phase of the vaccine development. So Indonesia has its own version. So Biopharma is focused on the vaccine. I think Kimia Pharma, along with the Army and the team at the University of Erlangga, working on the medicine. So this is, I think, a good combination.
Okay, Hot Indo will continue shortly with Pipe Dream. When will everyone in Indonesia get clean drinking water? You're watching Hot Indonesia with Sandrina, Sandy, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, Pipe Dream. The United Nations says clean drinking water is a human right, yet nearly 30% of the world's population don't have access to that resource. Here in Indonesia, it's estimated that 80% of the collectible water is not clean. We have the supply of billions of cubic meters of usable surface water, but major change has not come since the Dutch built the first water pipelines 200 years ago. Now, water supply, as we know in Indonesia, is a local government domain. But, Sandy, you're in local government. You never hear about progress and any upgrades as far as water. Why not?
Well, less than, if you look at the numbers, less than 75% of Indonesians have access to clean drinking potable water. And in the capital, in Jakarta, when I was working at the government, the figure is about 73% of the citizens, meaning that 27%, in particular living in the north part of Jakarta, in some of the, what we have been saying, very densely populated area, have no access to drinking water. And this is because of the heavy investments that needs to be done to provide the clean drinking water. The government have been trying in conjunctions with the central and the provincial government and the municipalities to put together a plan to privatize some years back, and now they roll back. They say that I think the government needs to assert more control because it has been disproportionately heavy in terms of costs for the citizens in lower economic strata. Dalton, can you believe that people in North Jakarta, no access to clean drinking water. They pay 20,000 a day for their water supply, meaning it's 600,000. And if they only basically receive 2 million of net pay a month, that's a high percentage of their costs of living attributed to drinking water. So I am seeing close to 60 to 75 billion dollar needs to be invested in the big cities, maybe 5 to 10 years, and it needs collaborations between public and private. You cannot just leave it to the government. You need to make sure that under the law it has been given authority for the government to partner with private sectors, with development financial institutions to work together and to provide this really basic needs.
Yeah, and it would be a huge public works project to relay pipes and put new piping systems, so that would create jobs. Now, Sanjina, Sandy said it, this should be probably a national priority. So, as I said before, if I were running for president in this country, which I'm not because Sandy is, I'd make clean drinking water a campaign promise. And you're in the business of political marketing. Wouldn't that be a no-brainer?
Of course, I agree completely. And Dalton, Indonesia is among the countries that signed up for the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs. And one of the SDGs is to provide universal access to safe drinking water. But that is a huge problem. It has been, it still is in Indonesia. For example, let me ask Sandy. Sandy, do you have PDAM access at your residence?
Well, when I was working at the City Hall, I was the one making sure that in my neighborhood we don't anymore extract groundwater, because that is the cost
so
of
you
Jakarta's.
do have it.
I do have it, but not all Jakartans have access to the PDAM supply of clean, safe, and healthy water.
What is ironic is that Jakarta is a city, the capital of the country, regularly flooded but faces a water crisis. And speaking about where I live, I mean, as a citizen, I would like to convey this message that it is ironic that in an area as developed as Tangerang Selatan, especially where I live, there's a lot of new clusters of real estate properties, and we have no pipelines here to provide us with water from the government. And the government here in Tangerang Selatan is still managed by the Regency of Tangerang. It has not been handed over to Tangerang Selatan City, and the water only reaches 15% of the people here, mostly in the western part of Tangerang Selatan. So I have no access, so I have no other option but to use groundwater. And the groundwater has to go through a series of filters for us to be able to use it. Still, it is not safe to drink, so another filter to make it drinkable. Most of the hotels, luxurious ones in Indonesia also, I mean, you pay expensive money, but the waters are not potable even in those hotels. So it is a big issue. We need to provide access to the people because it's one of their basic rights. And a huge homework for our friend Rahayu Saraswati, who is going to be running in the election here in Tangerang Selatan. So let's see what he's going to do. She's going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And your area, South Tangerang, is an affluent, kind of like you said, upscale, growing, thriving, hip community, and you don't have access to water. Okay, numbers. Let's get a little serious here, more serious. Globally, 1.2 million people. 1.2 million people die from unclean water each year around the world, okay? Here in Indonesia, the total is about 50,000 each year. Now, that is 10 times the total COVID number of deaths so far this year. To me, that's an emergency.
Over 40 million of Indonesia don't have access to clean, healthy, and safe drinking water, and $10 per month that they have spent to boil water. So imagine how many of those savings that they could put into reducing their cost of living.
Yeah, sure. So, Sanjina, if you're handling any clients this year or in 2024 particularly, hey, clean water, number one issue, I'd vote for them if I could.
Still, in
Okay.
surveys, it's corruption still the first
Yeah,
most
oh,
important
okay.
issue.
Yeah, money supposed to go to water went to the guys. Anyway,
Yeah.
more Hot Indo is ahead with viral boredom. Why are millions of people watching this guy do nothing for hours? You are watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Here is hot topic number 3, viral boredom. Here is Muhammad Didit from Madura Island, east of Surabaya. Last month, he decided to post a video of himself doing nothing but staring into the camera. He originally planned to do it for only 10 minutes, but stayed in place on his bed for 2 hours and 20 minutes. And in this virus lockdown world, not just hundreds or thousands click to watch him. This post now has more than 3 million views. You know, I'm not. Well, I'm sure that everyone who checked him out on YouTube did not stay on for the entire 2 hours, including myself. I watched for about a minute. It's kind of like that food video we talked about a couple of weeks ago, but half as interesting. Would you agree, Sandrina?
Yeah, I've heard Sandy mention many times that content is king. And here, the content is nothing, actually. So it kind of intrigues the curiosity of the people. That's why I guess it went viral. But as you said, including me, I watched it for a few seconds and then I just scrolled forward till the very end just to see, did he do something else in between? Apparently he did not. So the numbers of views, I think it's just because people were so curious and wanted to know what's everybody talking about this viral video. But aside from that, you know, he started his YouTube channel only in February, so that's about 6 months ago. His YouTube channel is entitled Sobat Miskin Official. So there's 2 interpretations, whether he's talking about himself as a poor friend or friend of the poor. I'm not really sure. But one thing is for sure, he is no longer poor. Because, you know, the estimated yearly earnings that he has received because of what he did a month ago, which gave him an additional about 30-something subscribers, is estimated to reach up to $145.6 thousand. That's
No way.
amazing.
No way.
Yes.
He monetized. Hey, you said
Yes.
30 something. What is it? 30,000 or 30 million or what?
30,000 in the last
30,000
month.
viewers. Yeah. Okay. Sandy, you always talked about, as Sandrina mentioned, creating
Subscribers,
content.
not viewers.
Oh, subscribers. Okay.
Subscribers.
Sandy, you talked about creating content, but this case proves sometimes you don't even need good content to get views.
Well, that's wrong. Actually, this is content that is based on authenticity. And it's so relevant, yet it is so authentic that he has nothing to do. So he's showing to the world, hey guys, I have nothing to do. I'm going to stare on the camera. Secondly, it's relevant. Many of Indonesians or people all over the world, actually, because of the lockdown, is basically staying at home doing nothing. So they are interested, they're curious, they wanted to see. And because I kept on mentioning that content is king, I would say timing is queen. The timing was perfect. You know, it becomes so talkable, and it has now created a fortune for him, because I guess this is something that will intrigue the rest of what we call netizens of Indonesia and all over the world to create similar content. And if you look at the screen time, it's skyrocketing. People now just basically glued on their screen. So they need to see something that would entertain them. And apparently, a lot of people got really entertained. 3 million of us got really entertained by this guy from Madura. Mator Sakalangkong.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking at his bed, his purple bed sheet in his room. But anyway, hey guys, before we move on, let's try this, okay? Let's prove this theory out. Let's emulate Mas did it, and let's all of us look to camera and let's just sit
And
here
blink.
for 15 seconds, okay? It's saying nothing, and let's see if people will stay tuned to our program, okay? So I'm going to say go, and just sit there for 15 seconds, and then we'll move on, okay? Let's just try this. Okay, ready, go.
That's it. I blinked twice.
Hey, it's not easy. The guy did it for 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Did
Okay.
he even
it is-
blink? I don't think he blinked.
Yeah, you can blink, Sandy. It's okay. You guy blinked a million times. He didn't go to the bathroom, but he blinked. Okay, it is feedback time now, and we like hearing from you across the world. This Instagram post came from Kim in Oregon in the U.S. I'm ready for this pandemic to be history. Well, everyone is, Kim. And this post came from the YouTube page of our partner, TV1. Empower the sanctions for the COVID protocol violators. This is a life or death matter. Here's how to contact us with your feedback. Email at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com or comment through our Hot Indonesia or Indonesia Channel Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Final words, Sandrina.
Happy Independence Day, Indonesia! Last Monday, we celebrated the 75th anniversary of the Republic of Indonesia. My hopes that with the celebration of our country's independence also means that we can celebrate the freedom of the people from the invasion of poverty, the guarantee of human rights, freedom of expression, and the celebration of our diversity. I love my country and I'm so proud to be Indonesian. Dirgahayu, Republik Indonesia. Merdeka.
Final words, Sandy.
Well said, Sandrina. And also from my side, Dirgahayu, Kemerdekaan Indonesia for 75th anniversary. I'm wearing the colors, red and white, Indonesia. And freedom and merdeka of trying to create this movement for our economy to grow, providing jobs in these tough times, giving people incomes and making sure that they could afford the cost of living. Merdeka!
All right, and my final words. Americans are now in the process of formally nominating their candidates. The Democrats this week said Joe Biden will restore decency and order to the presidency. Next week, the Republicans will say Donald Trump deserves a second term. No matter who you support, if you're an American overseas, like I am, I say vote. Vote. Go online and get your ballot. The results on November 3rd will impact all of us, including here in Indonesia. And that is Hot Indonesia for this week. For Sandrina Malakiano, Sandy Uno, and me, thank you very much for watching. Please join us again next time.